Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is a Toronto educator and anti-racism advocate known for his efforts to address the current challenges and racism faced by students and by teachers. But today he is here to talk about his own story.
His debut book, Black Boys Like Me, is a collection of personal essays examining race, identity, Black masculinity, and his experiences growing up in Ontario. He's here to tell us more, and his name is Matthew R. Morris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Matthew, you allowed yourself to get really vulnerable in this book, and each chapter sort of represents a different facet, a different part of your life. And I'm wondering, was there a moment that you sort of realized, okay, I really want to share these stories?
Yeah, when I first got to the Faculty of Education, that was the first time in my life that I actually decided to slow down and start to reflect on my life. And at that time, I realized that a lot of my friends and family and Black boys that look like me were impeded by school. So it was my goal from then to shatter stereotypes from a Canadian perspective.
Oh, good. You say that as you were growing up, and even now as an adult male, there's a kind of ethos. There's a way that Black men are allowed to exist. Yeah. Let's dive into that a little bit. What do you mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of the whispers and the implicit and even explicit ways that Black males are kind of boxed in stereotypes. We've seen it recently as a couple years ago when LeBron James, one of the most iconic Black figures in the last 20 years, was told to shut up and dribble, right? And it's the idea that Black males are only allowed to be the entertainer or the athlete or, unfortunately, in some situations, the criminal and engage in criminal activity.
Now, in one of your essays, you talk about something that a lot of us do, which is commute. But you write that for you, it's not quite as simple as just walking down the street.
Yeah. So in one of the early essays of this book, I share an experience of a time when I was in New York City, right after I graduated university, visiting a couple friends who lived in New York, and I was leaving on New Year's Eve party at around 4 in the morning, a New Year's Eve party, and as I left, I was passing a police station, and when I was walking past the police station, I kind of buttoned up my Blackness, so to speak. I pulled up my pants a little bit, I corrected my gait, I made sure that I wasn't making any intimidating eye contact with people. And when I got to the subway station, because I was a little too cheap to take a cab that day, I thought about all the stereotypes that they have about Black people on subways in New York City, so I unbuttoned my Blackness, so to speak. I amplified it. I sagged my pants a little bit lower. I made sure that I was looking around to let anybody know that I could be intimidating. And to me, that experience of going from one station to another station kind of shows the internalization of racism that still exists.
Matthew, you're not just a writer, you're an educator as well. And in one chapter, you describe a specific experience that you had as a teacher. On picture day, and we're just talking about clothes right now. You wrote, "The clothes I wear are refashioned by the skin I'm in." Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, before I decided to get tattoos down to my wrists, the skin that I'm in was already a fixed body politic and always made me exist in a particular way. And there was a situation where I was preparing for a class photo, and it was already about 30 degrees on this September day. So I decided to wear a white t-shirt and some jean shorts to school. And when I got to school, the administration kind of addressed my appearance and basically told me that I wasn't professional and whatever professionalism looked like in an educational context. We had a little bit of a dialogue, and I ended up actually going home and changing into pants, as you see in the picture, and coming back. And it wasn't until a couple hours later in that school building where I noticed that another person pretty much had the exact same type of clothing I had on, a t-shirt, cargo shorts, and even sandals. The only difference between me and that person was the color of our skin. So I guess it talks to the internalized idea of how even clothing isn't objective when it comes to race.
You say that current schooling practices are set up in ways that are meant to ultimately fail Black boys. This is a huge topic in school boards across this country.
Yeah, it is.
Tell us what's going on.
Well, let me paint a picture. Education and schools are a microcosm of our society. So let's think about a little 4-year-old Black boy who sits in a kindergarten class. And because Black people and Black boys are a little more surveilled than, other particular bodies in society, that boy gets watched a little more. And he might be doing things that he's not supposed to do, but because he gets surveilled a little more, he gets in trouble more than the other kids. And then he starts to become stereotyped. And that boy, when he gets to grade 1 and grade 2, he already starts to become labeled as this kid who makes a little bit of trouble. And then when that same boy gets to grade 4, grade 5, before the school year even starts, his desk is placed at the front of the classroom. And before you know it, that boy is in high school and he has developed this passive resistance towards school, and he's not even able to articulate it or verbalize it. And it's all because of the microcosm, how racism, in the instance of schooling, operates.
So what do we need to do to change that? What should educators be focusing on for this?
Well, there's a couple things that educators and education can do in general. Firstly, I think that conversations around race and racism need to be more organic and authentic. We need to acknowledge some of the implicit racism that penetrates our society. And I think we need to integrate the ideas behind that in little C curriculum, the way people are treated, and not big C curriculum where it just becomes a checkoff for particular teachers. And secondly, I think education systems need to re-examine the way that teachers are certified and open up entryways for particular bodies to become educators, and start to break down some of those stereotypes where people who maybe didn't ever consider education, like myself, would go into the field of education because there's so many community members, there's so many young Black people in the community that would make for vibrant educators, but by the time they decide to do so, they're kind of impeded by the decisions that they're pushed towards.
Incredible.
Matthew, it's been such a gift talking to you today.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So everyone in your studio audience, guess what? You're going home with your very own copy of Black.
Hey there, what did you think? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can find more on everything from food and fashion to pop culture and current events. See you soon.